A sacred moment, the weighty opening words. On May 7, 2025, a significant and solemn gathering took place at St. Peter's Basilica in Vatican City, as cardinals from across the globe convened for the Pro Eligendo Romano Pontifice Mass, a special liturgy held just before the start of the Papal Conclave to elect a new pope. This was a moment of deep reverence and importance, marking a pivotal transition in the leadership of the Catholic Church. With Pope Francis stepping down due to health reasons, the Church stood on the brink of an uncertain yet hopeful new chapter. The homily given by Cardinal Giovanni Battista Re, the Dean of the College of Cardinals, became the heart of the Mass, providing spiritual direction and reflection for the cardinals who were about to make one of the most consequential decisions in the life of the Church. As the Mass began, Cardinal Re immediately set the tone with a powerful message, emphasizing the importance of prayer in this sacred and weighty moment. He reminded the cardinals that the task before them was not just a political or administrative one, but one deeply rooted in spiritual discernment. "We are not here merely to cast a vote," he said, "but to listen to the voice of God in silence, to hear His guidance in our hearts, and to seek His will with humble hearts, that He may reveal to us who is worthy to follow in the footsteps of St. Peter." His words were a call to open hearts, urging the cardinals to surrender themselves to the divine will and approach the conclave with deep reverence and trust in God's plan. Cardinal Re's emphasis on prayer was not simply a formal or ceremonial suggestion. He explained that the conclave was not just a political gathering, nor a simple selection process. It was, above all, a deeply spiritual event, requiring the full cooperation of the cardinals with the Holy Spirit. The task of electing the Pope, he reminded them, was not about human agendas, personal preferences, or external pressures, but about listening attentively to the voice of the Holy Spirit, who alone could guide them to the right decision. "In these coming hours, we must be open to the promptings of the Spirit," he said, "for it is He who will show us the way." Moreover, Cardinal Re acknowledged the many challenges facing the Church and the world today, all of which weighed heavily on the decision ahead. He pointed to the divisions within the Church, the conflicts and wars that ravaged many regions of the world, the growing poverty, and the environmental destruction that threatened the planet. "We live in a time of immense trial," he said, "where the faithful are often divided, where justice and mercy are challenged, and where the light of faith is dimmed in many places. But the Church, in its wisdom and mercy, must continue to offer a message of hope, reconciliation, and peace to the world." For the cardinals, this reminder was vital. The election of a new pope was not only an internal matter for the Church, but a global decision that would send a message of faith, hope, and charity to the entire world. Cardinal Re's homily was not just about the mechanics of the conclave, but about setting the tone for what would be a decision of profound spiritual and moral significance. It was a call to approach the task with faith, humility, and a deep sense of divine responsibility. As the homily concluded, the air was thick with reflection. Cardinal Re's words left the cardinals not only contemplating their decision, but also calling them to look beyond the immediate political and social challenges and into the deeper spiritual mission of the papacy. This was a moment, he reminded them, when their actions would shape the future of the Catholic Church and its role in the world for generations to come. Love, the foundation of the papal mission. Following the sacred opening, Cardinal Giovanni Battista Re delved deeper into the heart of the papal mission, emphasizing a central element that must define the future pope's role: love. Drawing from the words of Jesus in the Gospel of John, "This is my commandment, that you love one another as I have loved you." Cardinal Re highlighted that the Pope's role is not simply administrative or authoritative. It is, at its core, an embodiment of Christ's love for his people. Cardinal Re made it clear that the Pope, as the successor of St. Peter, must be a living example of love, but not in the superficial or worldly sense. Rather, it must be a love that is profound, selfless, and sacrificial. The Pope's leadership is not about wielding power or influence, but about serving others, especially the marginalized, the suffering, and the poor. He referenced the powerful and moving gesture of Jesus, washing the feet of his disciples at the Last Supper, as the model for papal service. In this act, Jesus, despite being their teacher and Lord, humbled himself to serve those he led. This moment of humility became the definitive act of love and service, one that must continue to inspire the Pope's ministry today. The Cardinal's message was clear. The Pope must be someone who does not lord over others, but serves them with love, just as Christ served his disciples. It is not about power, prestige, or personal recognition. Rather, the Pope's greatness lies in his ability to serve with a heart full of love, mercy, and compassion. Cardinal Re noted that the future Pope must have the capacity to forgive, to bring healing, and to show Christ's love in a broken world. Cardinal Re's homily did not stop at just talking about love as an ideal. He made it real and concrete. He pointed out that the Pope's love should not be confined to the Church's inner circle, but must extend to the entire world. The love of the Pope should reach those who are often neglected or oppressed: the poor, the refugees, the marginalized, and those on the peripheries of society. In a world where inequality, injustice, and division often prevail, the Pope must be a symbol of unity and reconciliation. His love must transcend boundaries and bridge the divides between cultures, religions, and nations. Drawing on the examples of previous popes, Cardinal Re spoke of the legacies left by Pope John Paul II, Pope Benedict XVI, and Pope Francis. Each of them, in their own way, sought to live out this love in action. John Paul II's efforts in bringing peace to Eastern Europe, Benedict XVI's deep intellectual humility, and Francis's profound commitment to social justice and care for the environment were all expressions of this love that the future Pope must continue to uphold. Cardinal Re stressed that the Pope must not only be a man of profound intellectual insight, but also a man who is profoundly compassionate and humble, reaching out to those in need. In concluding this section of the homily, Cardinal Re invited the cardinals to reflect on the kind of Pope they were looking for. Not just an intellectual leader or a political figure, but someone who could embody the love of Christ in every aspect of his life. This love, he concluded, must be the foundation of the papal mission, a love that serves, heals, and brings hope to the world. Unity in diversity, the vocation of a global church. As the homily continued, Cardinal Giovanni Battista Re transitioned to another essential aspect of the papal mission: preserving the unity of the Church in a world marked by profound diversity. He emphasized that the Catholic Church, in its universal nature, is not a monolithic entity. Instead, it is a diverse and global body, with various cultures, languages, traditions, and practices, all coming together under the umbrella of one faith. In this light, the Pope's role is not only to lead, but to nurture this unity, ensuring that the richness of diversity does not lead to division. Cardinal Re reminded the cardinals that diversity within the Church is not something to be feared, but rather something to be embraced. He spoke of how the Church, in its wisdom, has always celebrated cultural differences, knowing that God's creation is diverse and beautiful. He also noted that the challenges of the modern world, such as secularism, ideological polarization, and the fragmentation of societies, require a pope who can bring people together in a spirit of understanding, respect, and mutual love. The pope must be a leader who knows how to build bridges, not walls. In the context of the Church's diversity, Cardinal Re particularly emphasized the need for a pope who is deeply attuned to the global realities of the modern world. The Catholic Church spans continents, from the ancient churches of Europe to the fast-growing communities in Africa, Asia, and Latin America. Each region of the world brings its own unique challenges and opportunities, and the future pope must be someone who can engage with this diversity while maintaining the core message of the gospel. The cardinal also pointed out that unity does not mean uniformity. The pope must respect and honor the various liturgical traditions, theological approaches, and pastoral concerns of different parts of the world. He must be a leader who recognizes that the diversity of the Church is a gift from God, and that this diversity strengthens the Church's mission in the world. Cardinal Re stressed that the Pope's task is not to impose a singular vision on the Church, but rather to foster dialogue, understanding, and unity within the diversity of the faith. In particular, Cardinal Re drew attention to the Pope's role as a unifier not only within the Catholic Church, but also between different Christian denominations. He pointed to the ecumenical efforts of past popes, especially Pope John Paul II, who made significant strides in fostering unity with other Christian communities. Cardinal Re reminded the cardinals that the Pope's role in promoting Christian unity should not be overlooked, especially in a time when many of the world's challenges, such as the fight for justice, peace, and human dignity, demand a united Christian witness. As the homily neared its conclusion, Cardinal Re's words were both a call and a challenge to the electing cardinals to seek out a leader who can transcend the divisions that often separate people and cultures, and who can lead the Church with a vision of unity, reconciliation, and love. A pope who can guide the Church to engage more effectively with the world's problems, while ensuring that the faithful remain united in the core message of the gospel. He concluded by reaffirming that the future of the Catholic Church depends on a leader who can inspire unity, not only within the Church, but in the wider world, bringing healing to the divisions that so often define our age. Hope and responsibility, a call to approach the conclave with faith. In the final portion of his homily, Cardinal Giovanni Battista Re issued a heartfelt invitation to all the cardinals to approach the conclave with a spirit of faith, hope, and spiritual responsibility. He emphasized that the election of the new pope was not merely a political or administrative task, it was a deeply spiritual act that required the full cooperation of each cardinal with the Holy Spirit. The outcome of the conclave, he reminded them, would not only determine the future of the Catholic Church, but would also send a powerful message to the world about the direction the Church would take in facing the challenges of the present age. Cardinal Re made it clear that each vote cast in the conclave must be a prayerful act, one that reflects a genuine desire to seek God's will. This is not a matter of personal preferences or external influences, he said. It is about listening to the Holy Spirit, whose guidance we must trust, as He alone knows what is best for the Church at this critical time. With these words, the Cardinal reminded the electing cardinals that they were not acting in isolation, but were part of a larger universal Church that spans the globe. Their decision would shape the direction of the Church for generations to come. In a world filled with uncertainty and turmoil, Cardinal Re urged the cardinals to look to the future with hope. The challenges facing the Church, such as internal divisions, moral crises, and external societal pressures, were real and daunting. But hope, he asserted, is a foundational Christian virtue, that must guide the Church in its mission. The new Pope would need to lead with hope, offering the world a vision of peace, justice, and healing that transcends the struggles of the present moment. "Hope is the light that must guide our journey," said Cardinal Re. "It is the hope that the Church will continue to be a beacon of truth and love, even in the darkest of times." At the same time, Cardinal Re underscored the immense responsibility that lay upon the cardinals as they prepared to choose the new pope. The decision was not just about electing a leader, it was about choosing someone who would be entrusted with the care of the Church, the guardianship of the faith, and the task of guiding millions of people toward a deeper relationship with Christ. This responsibility, the cardinal noted, could not be taken lightly. It was a weighty task that required not only intellectual discernment, but also deep prayer and spiritual reflection. In concluding his homily, Cardinal Re offered a simple but profound prayer. "Holy Spirit, come. Enlighten our hearts and minds so that we may choose the person you have chosen to lead the Church." This prayer, offered in the quiet of St. Peter's Basilica, was a reminder to the cardinals that their decision was not just a human one, but a deeply spiritual act, one that required openness to the divine will. The homily ended not with grand rhetoric, but with a call to silent reflection. The cardinals were invited to enter the conclave with a sense of reverence, aware that the choice they were about to make was one of immense spiritual significance. It was not just about choosing a leader, but about responding to God's call and following His guidance in the election of the next pope, who would lead the Church in an era that demanded wisdom, compassion, and deep faith.